Thank you, Stuart. Good morning, Disrupt. Mark Richards, CEO of makepostive. It's fabulous to be back in person events. I hope everyone's excited. You're probably thinking, he looks quite familiar. Have I seen him on the television or perhaps in the movies? I'll explain. A couple of months ago, I was on a trip down in South Africa and I'd flown into Johannesburg, and then later that day flew over to Cape Town. I was feeling quite tired and I was on the flight, and actually all I wanted to do was sleep. But next to me was a little boy who really wanted to interact, and after about an hour I started talking to him and I became less grumpy, and actually I started to feel great, and we had a really nice conversation, and I thought this is an amazing moment. And then we got off the plane at Cape Town and he turned around to me and he said, "See you later, Mr. Bean." Despite that, it was an amazing moment and I felt really good about it. And really, that's the goal of makepostive. Our aim is to create great experiences for your customers, for you and your colleagues. And we do that through a combination of the world's #1 CRM platform, Salesforce, industry best practice, and having an amazing team. So in a moment, I'm going to invite onto stage two people who are living this journey with us at the minute to share some insights. But I've just remembered, we've had a couple of texts about, we didn't say how you could donate to the Ukraine appeal. We're actually going to put that on a URL downstairs in the break. So thank you for showing your interest in that. That'd be great. But ladies and gentlemen, if you could welcome on stage now Nigel Howell, the CEO of Firstport, and Ed Wall, AVP of Business Services at Salesforce. Big hand, please. Nigel, Ed. Welcome to Disrupt.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Nigel, if we can start with you. So for those that don't know Firstport so well, perhaps you could explain a little bit about the business.
Sure. Firstport is the UK's biggest residential property manager. That essentially means we look after blocks of apartments on behalf of the people who live there. We're, well, to say we're the largest. We look after around 315,000 apartments around the UK. That probably means 500,000, 600,000 people living there. And perhaps one of the sort of challenges of that area is the diversity. Every building is different. People's expectation of service in their homes is different, and their experience of service is different.
And Ed, how do you and Salesforce think about supporting businesses like Nigel's?
Yeah, it's really important in terms of, I think a couple of the other speakers already touched on it. It's not just about the technology, it's also about the change experience as well, and working with the likes of Sabio and makepostive as well, to ensure that the customers get what they set out to achieve in terms of the business objective. It's not technology for technology's sake. So I think that's critical. I think also in terms of just guiding, I think our view is about where we are now, but also about where we envision technology and customers are going in future, and how you can use that to improve your business and your processes.
Okay. So we've been engaged for about 2.5 years now, so
yep.
Pretty much the entire duration of the pandemic. Can you cast your mind back, Nigel, to the challenges that you saw that made you think we need to go on this digital transformation?
Yeah, we're quite a traditional sector, and our technology is pretty much limited to sector-specific packages. And I wanted to come up with something that was different and distinctive, something that could disrupt the sector in terms of its ability to deliver a distinctive service. So I was looking for a solution that would allow us to almost create a platform business where we could connect our customers, our colleagues out on site and around the country, our contractors, because we don't repair the heating system or the roof, we get a contractor to do that, so we manage that work, we don't do it. Our clients, so the developers or the freeholders or the residents who own the buildings, and ultimately connected buildings. So I wanted to connect those 5 C's of colleagues, customers, clients, contractors, and connected buildings with some new technology. So we went and looked around the market. We looked at what we thought was going to be really distinctive compared to others in the sector and how we could apply that. So that was really what we were seeking to do, and end up with something that was different and distinctive.
And are these some of the common themes, Ed, that you're seeing in the industry and with your customers at Salesforce?
Yeah, absolutely. So I cover a broad spectrum of industries across business services. So the likes of talent, which would include recruitment, education, real estate, facilities management, and professional services. All of those industries are faced with like multiple transformation challenges in terms of how do they engage better with their customers. If I was to pick one, which is like a real legacy industry then as well, if I look at the likes of the legal industry, that's been absolutely transformed over the last couple of years in terms of how they go and win clients' business and get insight, in terms of how they have a digital black book. And that's as a result of the pandemic then as well. I think some of the themes that your team touched on earlier as well, we see that right across every industry in terms of the challenges in terms of recruiting, hiring, and maintaining staff. That is getting so difficult. But we're also seeing that there's a big correlation between strong employee experience and strong customer experience. And actually, we kind of think that employee experience nearly drives the customer experience first. So if you work on that first, the good customer experience will come.
And Nigel, you're now living this transformation program day in, day out, and I know you're very close to the detail on that. Can you share some insights then on what you've learned over these past 2.5 years?
We failed to anticipate coronavirus inevitably, so that was a big change along the event. We had people who we recruited who developed code for us and who left the business without ever physically having met any of us face to face. So that was a challenge. I think migrating data probably has been a challenge. We've moved off different variants of our own internal systems, and as a business we're growing, so we've made acquisitions as well. So bringing those different data sets over has been a challenge. We're probably about 75% of the company is now on the new platform, and in terms of complexity, this was probably about 60%. We've still got further to go to build on our MVP, but the pace is fast, and people are very positive about what we've launched and the pace at which we're changing. So those will be key lessons, I think.
Great. And Ed, I know FirstBook's a hugely important customer for Salesforce. What have you learned or taken away from the program so far?
I think one of the things that I've seen over the years, and particularly when I look at FirstPort as well, is when Nigel and his team started working with both yourselves and ourselves, is it's a business transformation project as opposed to an IT transformation project. I think that's the critical thing that I see. And Nigel was very much involved every step of the way in terms of setting the direction and not kind of passing it off to IT or a particular part of the business, that it was the whole business, about how everybody interacted around all those relationships that he's just kind of said in terms of all their customers and all the people that are managing those relationships in the buildings, etc., and manage those facilities. But it was really that kind of business ownership and engagement. And I think the other thing I take away from it is you look at all those trends that were up earlier about, there's more and more channels of engagement. You see the grumpy young generation, Gen Z or millennials, and so it's getting more and more challenging, and that's where they absolutely rely on the expertise. Businesses rely on the expertise of companies like yourselves to help them navigate that challenge, because it's not the other thing that I love working with Nigel, it's not about a destination and now we've done this, we've rolled it out and we've achieved. It's an evolution, and the pace of change, unfortunately for us, is only going to get faster and faster and faster and faster. And that's where you need good partners.
So there'll be those in the audience who are about to embark on a similar journey or are part way through. Generally, we've worked well together. We've had the odd challenge. We generally end a phone call with, we still love each other and we carry on working. But what advice would you give to those? Any gotchas to kind of look out for?
A few, yeah, I've talked about the challenges of data and getting the migration done. So, get yourselves ready for that, but also get yourselves ready for some of the unexpected delights along the way. So there are plenty of times people, having raised expectations, when people see what you've built, it's like, oh, this is all right, but we want more. But there are plenty of times when people are excited about what you've delivered. Even in the bad times, we discovered we'd got a complaint that had been open over 120 days, which is awful. We thought we got systems to do that, but because they were all fragmented, things fall through. So actually getting hold of data and being able to respond to your business is really exciting. Even if you don't like what you've learned, at least we were on top of it. I was able to write to our customer, apologize, tell him now we've got these new systems, we're much more on top of these things. So that was good. And then 3 pieces of advice from my chairman is in his early 70s. I'm pretty sure he doesn't know much about digital, but he has seen businesses transform a lot. And he fortunately gave 3 pieces of advice to our board and our investors quite early on, which in retrospect he is a wily old dog, and he was right. He said, first of all digital transformations take twice as long and cost twice as much than you expected. Ours did take twice as long, although I blame coronavirus for that. I didn't spend twice as much. I spent 50% more than I expected to do. But fortunately, and thank you for any CFOs in the room, I hadn't planned for a research and development tax credit. What you are doing is innovative, and the UK government wants you to innovate. So work with your finance people to bring out the innovative change that you're doing, and that helps. So actually, I pretty much delivered bang on money, but twice as long, twice as much is not a bad thing to set expectations and under promise, over deliver against that, which is good. He also said that you have to train people 3 times, and that is now proving to be true. So when we launched MVP, we trained people, and they kind of got it from a sheer mechanical sense. Now we're training the second time by saying, now you've got all this data, now you've got this better process, now you've got escalations and workflow in there, look at what you can do. And now we're getting fresh ideas from the troops, so that's really good. So my involvement in the project is getting less and less, because actually the people in the business and our customers are the innovators now. And the final thing that he said is his 3rd piece of advice, which Ed has just said, and Jonathan said earlier, in fact all our speakers have said, is this will not be a technology change, it's a people change, it's a people issue. And we focused a lot on that very early on, why we needed to change. We focused a lot on terms of what the change was and when it was going to come. And now we've focused a lot about where it can take us in the future, which is really exciting. So digital transformation isn't easy, but in a sector not known for it, it's actually potentially the most exciting, because the amount of disruption we're achieving is really good, and we're very, very pleased to work with great partners to help us through.
Which leads me on to my next question for you both, really, which is, what are you most proud of when you look back at the progress that we've made in the last 2.5 years?
I think what we did really well as a business, when I look just kind of in terms of internally in Salesforce, was making sure that we kind of kept engagement levels high with our staff, and make sure that we used all the technology that we have at our disposal to keep engaged, and to make sure that our customers were successful then as well. It's actually been, the pandemic in a weird way has actually really accelerated the transformation that a salesman could never have achieved in 10 years, what COVID achieved in 3 months, in terms of driving that change across businesses and accelerating all those trends. But I think in terms of pride, when I look back in terms of the business, also what we did for the wider stakeholders. So we had a huge input into a lot of the global vaccine rollout. We were actually able to pivot our technology into a vaccine cloud, which shows the benefit of and scale of our platform. And a lot of the kind of vaccine distribution across the globe is actually powered by Salesforce as well. I think that's something we are exceptionally proud of as a business.
Rightly so. And how about you, Nigel?
I think when you are launching things, you focus a lot on the MVP or the next changes to it, and that's been good. But I think what I'm most proud of now is the potential. You know, the people talking about what they're going to be able to do next, or now we've got this, can we do that? And the speed at which agile and new technology allows you to bring those improvements forward. So actually, it's this kind of cauldron of change and success that we've got going now, which is probably didn't expect, and I'm now most proud of.
And finally, what does the future look like for Firstport?
Exciting, I hope. I feel like we've really given ourselves a huge platform to do something really distinctive. We don't get everything right, and we're disappointed when we fail, customers or any of our stakeholders. But we are getting better and better, and I think the ability to keep up with increasing customer demands and increasing innovation with the platform we've got is really good for the future. We've just got new investors in the business, and they were attracted not only by our legacy but our ability to innovate. And I think you can transform your future by doing intelligent transformation.
That's great. Thank you both for sharing your insights. We do actually have some time for Q&A if there's any questions. We haven't planted any questions. Normally you do that to kind of get it going. So hopefully we might have a couple in the audience, perhaps. It's all perfectly clear, I think. Yeah, I can't see any hands up. So, Nigel, Ed, thank you very much for sharing your insights with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.